everybody. Thanks for joining us today. This is Erin Reese. I'm head of marketing for Spins, and I'm here today with Kim Feil, the CMO of Aspire Drinks. Welcome, Kim.
Hi, everybody.
So today we're going to chat with Kim, get a little understanding of her background, and then delve into Aspire Drinks and what the company is, what it's all about, and where it's headed. So Kim, thanks for joining us again, and love to hear a little bit about how you got started. You've been in the industry for quite some time.
Yeah, you know, I don't even like to say how many years anymore, although I am committed to staying in it another 40. So yeah, I started at Frito-Lay way back when as an assistant brand manager on Doritos. So I've been in the consumer goods industry about 32 years and have worked in the snack food business, the fast food with Kentucky Fried Chicken. I was with Cadbury Schweppes and Dr. Pepper 7-Up for 9 years, which has certainly been very relevant to the work I'm doing now with Aspire. And then I actually joined the world that you're in, which is I was president of Information Resources, Inc., and learned the world of data and analytics and CRM way before that was hip and cool for marketers to know. And I didn't know how valuable it would be for the rest of my life. And then I was fortunate to pivot and become the CMO of Kimberly-Clark and then Sara Lee, and finally Walgreens and Office Max. So I feel like I've had kind of a 360 view of the consumer goods industry, from manufacturer to consultant to retailer, and that's been very valuable. But I'll tell you the best, and I wish I'd started it 5 years earlier, is being an entrepreneur. It is so much fun to now take that sort of discipline I learned in the public company sector to scrappy, hardworking, grow a great brand from the beginning, and without the shackles, frankly, of sometimes what bigger companies are limited to being able to do. So it's been a lot of fun to pull out the quiver and use it on Aspire now.
That's amazing. I listening to your story, thinking about all those large companies you work for, I don't think there's a lot of people that can go from that kind of environment into one that is as scrappy and creative and well, maybe even without the budget you probably had before.
Well, let me just say there was one of my CMO roles where I literally had a $1 billion budget. And though I won't disclose spend today, it's growing fast on Aspire. It's certainly nowhere near that. And, you know, my colleagues who've been only entrepreneurs would say that I've had a few things to learn, and that's very fair. But it's interesting how particularly retailers have embraced this new functional beverage space, have really been responsive to helping us as a smaller company get traction. And there are several, as you know, many new companies coming along that are meeting today's consumer needs in a new way, who don't have the deep budgets, but are realizing how to make the connection there with the consumer. And I like to believe we're getting there ourselves.
That's great. That's terrific. It seems too, and I don't know if you've used it, but social media today versus not having that 15 plus years ago, has that been something that's helped you guys grow faster?
No question. And you know, let's face it, you can look at COVID as a negative or you can look at it as an opportunity. And one of the things about it has been the accelerated shift of retailers, consumers, and brands and products, both to a more intensive retail experience as well in-store, as well as a more intensive online experience, wrapped with marketing that is very reliant on social, digital, influencers, word of mouth, building communities, relationships with specific customer groups that are far more intimate now, because we're all looking for the things that'll make us more happy right now and meet our needs better. So I think what's coming, what we're going to come out with this is, you know, social media, but also with our messaging, because messaging is resonating in a very different way now than it was. So we're getting scrappier with that. I actually have hired a number of social media people and interns now to up our game. If you looked at our Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn over the last year, you'll see it's considerably improved with the direction and advice of people who know it better than I know how to do it. And I think we're making great progress at building a stronger community following as a result.
I love it. I love it. That's terrific. Let's backtrack a little bit and let's talk about Aspire, how it got started, its history, and it's not something that was originally based here in the States, right?
No. Well, Aspire, let me just first tell you what it is. Aspire is a healthy energy drink, really intended for everyday use. It's got no calories, sugar, or carbs. It's green tea based with guarana also, which gives it a nice smooth lift and a sustained energy. And because we're about 80 milligrams of caffeine, we're in that strong cup of coffee range, which means that we can really be enjoyed multiple times a day without any jitters or crash. So we've entered into a category that has really gone kind of just the opposite, which is into extreme caffeine. And it's been an interesting journey these last 2 years particularly. So Aspire started in the UK with two health enthusiasts who were mixing their own concoctions out of things they were getting at like GNC stores, and decided, why don't we just formulate a ready to drink version of what we love? So they worked with nutritionists in the UK and developed Aspire, and they were also not CPG veterans. So they were scrappy, got into Tesco and Holland and Barrett, and established the brand in the UK, and then began to look at distributorships in other parts of the world. That's where our CEO, Chris Wadlington, met the founders, Darren Linnell and Neil Blewett, and decided then, the three of them, to bring this into one global company based in Chicago with a global Aspire Healthy Energy Drinks and Aspire Brands Inc. Foundation to it. So Chicago was the starting off point here. And I happened to meet these guys when I was on the board of Roundy's, which is now owned by Kroger. And they wanted to get into Mariano's. And I was like, oh, get me some product and I'll try it and I'll let you know. Fell in love with it in like 3 days and called them and said, I am all in to help. And then became a board member, an investor, and about 3 years ago joined them full-time as the CMO and head of strategy. So I do love the brand. It started with one flavor, cranberry, and now we have 8, 5 available in bricks and mortar retailers, 3 new ones available at BJ's in a multi-pack, and all 8 available now on aspiredrinks.com and amazon.com. So in the course of the last now 9 years, the brand has been in market. We're now in Costco UK, Iceland, Spain. We just launched Costco Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, we are in over 5,000 stores in the US in about 40 states. And as I like to say, on the march to world domination. But I will say, I think the whole foundation is that everybody's fatigued and they do get tired of empty caffeine, you know, cola, coffee, tea, to have something that's got vitamins and ginger root and great healthy natural tea in it has been a really positive message for our consumers to replace their everyday caffeine needs. So the vitamins alone, the B and C, give you intense focus and alertness, and that's what I noticed when I started to drink it. So I think we have something unique here, and we're starting to absolutely see that consumers who love it a lot. And we're continuing to expand and be thoughtful about meeting consumers where they want to shop, online and offline.
That's terrific. Thank you for sharing all that.
Sure.
As you were talking about all the ingredients, we've done a lot of reporting on COVID trends, obviously, and how people's behaviors are changing. Their shop, what are they buying? Why are they buying it? So much on staying healthy. And functional ingredients are seem to be key or core to that, and especially in beverages. So it almost, you guys are certainly at the right place at the right time, probably maybe even a few years ahead of your time. But have you seen a spike of new customers in this environment?
Definitely, definitely. You know, we chose to call this an energy drink because it is. But it's definitely not a traditional energy drink because it does bring the source of caffeine in a different way and the vitamins that go with it, and no calories and no sugar. So as consumers, particularly women, although 35% of our customers are men as well, As our consumers are starting to realize that this is a really great daily use alternative that gives them the vitamins as well, it's definitely taken off. In fact, we found a large percentage of our customers repeat more than 10 times a year. So it's definitely become part of their habit. I drink 2 a day, you know, kind of mid-morning and mid-afternoon, and it gives me that nice smooth energy through the day and the focus when I get, you know, into that afternoon lull. So we're definitely getting a strong following. This is also a product, because it has no sugar, is available and useful to people with diabetes. And a lot of functional beverages still have carbs in them, and that's something that has to be a bit more monitored, but this product is, you know, no sugar or carbs in it. So we're definitely finding that the consumer in this era particularly is starting to understand these functional benefits better. You know, they've had time to realize that if they stay home and, you know, eat all their comfort foods, they're not going to feel too good after a while. And so they're starting to realize what the importance of balanced vitamins, no calories and no sugar, the benefits of mixing. You know, I eat ice cream. I still eat ice cream. It's still my little pleasure, but I balance my calories to try to make that work a little bit better. And I think more and more consumers are doing that. So yeah, I think we're finding that there's the rise of functional. I will also say that I've been really pleased to see that retailers are embracing functional products even more so than they had been. You know, we had a period of time where the world went from soft drinks and water to soft drinks, water, tea and coffee, to soft drinks, vitamin added waters, right? And now, boy, we've got products that aid in digestion, sleep, alertness, antioxidants, products like ours, which are a replacement for other kinds of caffeine. So there's a much broader continuum that consumers can choose from now that almost allows them to go from kombucha in the morning to a sleep aid at night, and a nice little portfolio of functional in between. And it's really an interesting and nice shift to see. So I'm seeing retailers now saying, let's separate sort of extreme energy caffeine as a category from functional beverage. And we're happy to be making that evolution with them into functional sets where consumers can make this sort of portfolio choice between a variety of personal health uses that they want to have in their pantries. So I'm really eager to see, in fact, Erin, you know, utilizing you guys' attribute data has been one of the best advantages we have to being able to study, you know, how do keto diet followers and people with diabetes and gluten-free followers, you know, what are those attributes that matter the most to them? And only you guys can provide that. So, you know, we've been really blessed to have SPINS data in the last year. We finally could afford it. And it's been fueling our ability to strategize more precisely and work with our retailers on category strategies that are much more robust around attribute-driven category planning, merchandising, day part planning, marketing, you name it. So, you know, thank you guys for bringing us the kind of store level and market level data and attribute data that lets us make better decisions.
Well, thank you for that. Good. That's what it's there for, you know, to be able to help to navigate all of that. Yeah, as you were talking, I was curious too. My head kept thinking about some of the more conventional stores that I shop in. There's the water, and then there's the energy drinks, and they're in separate aisles. And so if you're not looking for an energy drink, but you want to fund something that has some functional ingredients, I mean, where do you guys sit? Are you able to get shelf space in both, or are you kind of navigating it depending on the store location and the buyers?
Well, it's a little bit of everything right now, and that's okay, because I think we're all trying to learn. We have some retailers who have carved all of their functional off with their vitamin sets and created, in essence, a better for you segment of their stores. I mean, H-E-B has their vitamins, their powders, their protein enhancements, and their functional beverages all together, which is really an interesting approach. There are other retailers who still are a little bit more on the traditional category segmentation. And of course, we're happy to be the healthy energy alternative in the energy set. We have others who are right now looking at 2021 and revamping their category strategies to create functional sets that are either adjacent to their functional water or integrated in with functional water. And I think that makes sense. You know, when I was at Walgreens, one of the things we studied very precisely was, for instance, in the pain segment, when consumers go to deal with pain, they have a specific kind, right? They have a headache, they have a body ache, they have other aches. And we started to category plan the pain section based on the consumer's need and their need state. So body aches and headaches. And I think the retailers are starting to realize that. You can put functional together, but then try to define the need state that the consumer is experiencing. Is it energy within functional? Is it digestive aid, kombuchas and things like that? Is it more of an antioxidant overall wellness need that they have? So we still see retailers on a full continuum from the traditional to the very well thought out, health oriented. And it's going to be interesting to see how that works. We can't deny, and we always have to as marketers go back to what is the consumer how are they gonna respond? Mm-hmm. And not all consumers are educated in all these things. So it would be a shame if we go too fast, too far, and then they don't understand. So we have to all work together, retailers and brands, to educate consumers on how to choose what matters, what they need, and then how we're gonna merchandise and market it so they can make the connection between what they really know what they need and where they can find it in the store. Because that's my only fear, is we move too fast and then they can't find us.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And as you're doing your more traditional marketing, I would say, is education of the end consumer a big piece of that focus?
It is, and it's also something we're learning from right now, right? Without question, people understand that tea and coffee and cola and traditional energy drinks have caffeine and that they can use those to address fatigue. But I wouldn't say the average person really understands the difference between a B and C vitamin and a ginger root benefit, right? They're very different. Or why some sports drinks have other ingredients in them that are intended to be about performance, and that's where they're focused. And yet a consumer who might be looking for caffeine might be drinking a performance drink and not understand why that's doing a different thing to their bodies. So we are definitely looking hard at how do we educate on our particular functional benefits. Who are they for? Why are they benefits? Why would you consider drinking this multiple times a day? Well, vitamin C leaves your body. You need vitamin C throughout the day. Well, the average person doesn't know that. So we're definitely adding more of that education into our social media, our influencer content, and our website, so that people can begin to understand how to choose. And if they're choosing a different type of performance, they may choose something other than Aspire for that. But if they're looking for a great sustained energy for a 20-mile bike ride, we're perfect, right? So there's a lot to be done yet, Erin, in this space. I don't know that I even understand yet how kombucha works. I know we drink it every morning. I know it makes me feel good, but I don't really know how it works, right? So I'm excited about what this frontier is going to bring, and retailers are going to be a big part of making sure that consumers learn from these things.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So as you're looking at the future, obviously lots of growth already, and it seems like having you on board has helped them a ton in experience and understanding of where to go and how to build those retail relationships. But what is understanding that there's this shift now, especially with consumers that probably weren't thinking about functional ingredients and now are, and looking at things differently, going, oh wow, I can choose this or this and be more healthy with this. How is that changing your outlook and your approach for the next year to say 3 years?
Right. Well, there's some practical things that are changing. The good news for all us CPG marketers is we can't relent, you know, and say, oh, well, it's COVID, because all of our stores are open. And the online market for all of those stores is accelerated, and the retailers have taken on and embraced more and more active, you know, online sales capabilities, which is really, really good for everybody, for them and for us. So that shift to a combination of online, offline is so important, and we're really working hard to embrace that. And I think it's going to be terrific for everybody. All the millennials I know never even walk into a grocery store. I love to go to grocery stores, so it's meeting everyone's needs. Our marketing was primarily in-store sampling. So you can imagine the challenge we had because we like to have people hear the story, try the product, realize how great it tastes when they don't expect it to, and then learn how it's for them and not necessarily an extreme caffeine. But we pivoted, and we've really shifted to talking that story much more robustly online, building our influencer community more quickly than we might have before. And we're doing scrappy in-market sampling at places that people are still looking for this type of product. So in Chicago, there's a roadway called the 606. It's a bike and walking path. So we do can sampling there. We're going down to the lakefront trails and doing sampling there. We were on the rocky steps of the Philadelphia, you know, famous Rocky scene last weekend. So we're trying to meet people where they are and make sure that we're still telling our story, but in a very clean and thoughtful way, recognizing the limitations that people have for wanting to interact. We are doing far more working with our retailers to create in-store, continuing to create in-store opportunities to drive sales and display, and coolers where the immediate consumption seems to continue to be very, very important to people. So those are all near term. I think longer term is some of what we just talked about, which is partnering with retailers to educate consumers, partnering with retailers to accelerate how categories are defined, finding better ways to explain our benefits that are simple and telegraphic and meaningful to people, looking for ways to really penetrate communities who can benefit. So we've got an entire effort now around really reaching to people with diabetes and helping them understand that, you know, coffee and tea, especially when they add anything to make it taste better, gives them a different type of physical reaction, type of caffeine would, and reaching closer to them. So I'd say what we're going to come out of this with is a world that is better for you, a world that wants both online, offline shopping, wants better information quicker and more telegraphically, wants to be able to figure out what is right for them as directly as they can, which is why the stores become so important. So I think that's kind of near term and long term where we're headed.
That's fascinating. I love how succinctly you put that too, because it definitely is where you need to go. How do you be where people need you to be when they want you to be there before they even know they want you there, right?
Right.
Well, terrific. This is fascinating conversation, and I know I've kept you here for quite some time, so we can give you the rest of your day back. But before we do, I love to offer up a pay it forward type of a question at the end of these. Just, you have so much experience, and would love to be able to share some of it with some of the other folks that listen in. And so, if there's something that you know today, maybe there's a few that you wish you would have known maybe just a few years ago or longer, I would love for you to share some of that knowledge with us.
Sure. Well, I'll give you two. I'll give you one that has stood the test of time and one that is extremely important right now. So the stood the test of time is always go back to what the customer wants. You know, it's so easy to think we know, but we don't. Right now, they're changing, and we have to keep up with them. And we always should go back and say, what do you need? What matters to you right now? So that's the first, and it stood the test of time, whether I was in snack food or at Walgreens with pharmacy, you know, relationships, or now with Aspire Healthy Energy Drinks. The one that's new, though, is we have to remember that the world of social digital e-com has really only been around for about 12 years. We still have a dearth of talent available to us who really understand and are keeping up with the latest in how to best communicate, connect, find, track, chase, and build our social communities. So I call on all of us to find great talent, give them opportunities to learn, make sure that we are listening, because everything about the social world really is far better known by by people who have grown up in the era of this. And make sure that the people we hire are also grounded in the analytics and the understanding of how to measure and drive impact with social, because it's easy to have creativity, but without the understanding of how we're really impacting and connecting to the consumer, that isn't enough. So there are just not enough folks out there. I know you guys have been great about working with Northwestern on its Medill School fourth quarter semester, and I'm an advisor to a program that SPINS is doing there. Those are the future, and we need to really build out that expertise. So let's all reach back and pull forward and get more of that talent working in our behalf right now. That's critical.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's a really valid point too. And even working with those students, it's been an amazing experience, because they have a wealth of social. Their mind goes right to social, but then it's like, okay, but I need to create sales from social. So how do you, and we do it internally at SPINS too, is we share a lot of great stories, and we have a fabulous culture, and it always comes out in our social, but it's how do we also talk about the things that somebody like you needs to know, and how do we bring the functional ingredient story in there? How do we help to educate and then drive them back to understand that SPINS has the information they need, and it's not always as easy to connect those two, but it's imperative to grow the business. So
it is, and lest both of us seem to be too commercial here, it is not just about driving sales, it's making the connection with consumers who need and want what we have. And that's, I feel strongly that we do good when people drink us, because they're better, they feel better, they have less sugar in their life. So I don't have any problem saying that driving more connection is a value to the consumer as much as it is to our business. And you're right, I mean, we need to get there with advancing our social to that state where we're really making good connections.
We're helping each other out. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
We're all here for the good.
SPINS has been just invaluable to us. All that stuff I just said about having better category conversations with retailers, having better understanding of the consumer, having better understanding of the functional attributes and benefits. Retailers and we would not be having these conversations without what SPINS gives us. So, it's been a light for us in this last year. We were very excited to find out we were top 5 fastest growing energy drinks, because we finally could see the data.
All right.
Very exciting time, and you guys are shedding light in these very important little dark corners. So thank you for that.
That's terrific. That's great to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
And thanks again so much for your time, Kim. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Everybody, good luck as we go forward.